Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. It's Thursday Tier Talk. Plenty to get through tonight. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, the Dazzler Darren. How are we?
All good, pal. All good. How are you?
Good. I'm not too bad at all. Um, a big week this week, of course. Lauren graduated and stuff like that, and also came top of her class, picking up the old Sedesco Award as well. So I was very emotional and very proud the other day.
Doesn't he sound
So
like he could play on the left hand side for Portugal? Sedesco.
he does. He does.
Doesn't he? Him on one side and Ricardo Quaresma on the other. Just the two little.
Charisma, yeah, absolutely. But tough week for football as well this week. Unfortunately, we lost first of all, Liverpool fan Philip Dooley tragically passed away the other in the early hours of Monday morning. It was. This is the statement from the club. We are deeply saddened by the tragic passing of our supporter Philip Dooley following a road traffic accident in Bergamo in the early hours of this morning, it says, which means Monday going into Tuesday. So it was the morning of the game, if you like. Philip was a lifelong Liverpool fan who had travelled to Italy to be at tonight's Champions League game against AC Milan. Our staff in Milan are working with the local police and consulate and continue to provide support to other fans impacted by this devastating incident. The thoughts and prayers of everyone connected to the club are with Philip's family, friends, and fellow supporters at this extremely difficult time. Rest in peace, Philip Dooley. Very, very tragic. I don't know if you had heard about it or if you had seen it and stuff like that.
I thought it was very poignant, obviously seeing the bouquet of flowers in the seat he was supposed to sit in and stuff like that, Heartbreaking. Anytime somebody goes to a football match and doesn't come home, it leaves a lasting memory, and our thoughts and prayers are with Philip's family and with the wider Liverpool family as well. It doesn't just affect the people closest; it can affect people around them as well. So hearts and thoughts and prayers out to the guys there.
Yeah, further information came out, I think earlier today or something like that, that he was crossing the motorway and he had crossed 3 lanes and a car then hit him in the 4th lane. And when they found him, he had his passport in one pocket and his match ticket in the other pocket. Very, very sad. Really, really tough stuff,
Probably needed the passport to get into the game for the identification purposes.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah, absolutely. But very, very sad. Very sad when we lose a supporter like that, and especially travelling supporters as well, who put in so much effort and at so much cost as well. And as you said, our thoughts and prayers go out to Philip's family and the wider Liverpool community. Again, another tragic event and stuff like that. So yeah, our thoughts and prayers go out with that. We also lost a man this week, Salvatore Toto Schillaci, a man who all of us Ireland fans should really detest, but we grew to love him for some reason. And it was such an unbelievable thing, isn't it, when you think about it? And I posted in our WhatsApp group the other day the old Smittix ad and all that kind of stuff, and the two boys, it's absolutely hilarious, And then I posted in the picture of Colomini in the van with the Fuck Schillaci t-shirt on him and stuff like that. And actually, Toto actually got a buzz out of that when he was alive and stuff like that and all. But unbelievable career at Juventus and obviously at Inter as well. And what a player in the 1990 Italian 90. I remember it well and stuff like that, because I was doing, as I said before, for 88 in Stuttgart and in Germany, I was doing my junior cert. And for 90 in Italia, I was doing my leaving cert because there was no transition year then. You went straight into it.
Very good.
So it was every 2 years. So it was tough for me to watch all the matches and stuff and still keep one eye on studying and stuff like that and all. But I remember this well, and he broke people's hearts. And I remember that scene in the van with Brendan Carroll where he pours the drink over himself and all, and goes, "Fuck Schillaci," and all this kind of thing and all. It was unbelievable at the time,
It's funny because he did take on the role of the pantomime villain. He was the guy we love to hate, and there was always a little tip of the cap and stuff like that. But Italia 90 was, I think I've mentioned before, that was the start of my love affair with football and watching Ireland and stuff like that. And I remember it like it was yesterday. It was obviously heartbreaking at the time to see us go out and stuff like that. And, the same thing the next day, you're going out and you're playing squares on the road with the other lads, and you know, the lads are saying, "Oh, fuck Schillaci," and you know, and blah de blah. But then other lads that, you know, lads that'd be like being the like that good heel, he'd be like they'd score a goal and they'd be like Schillaci, and you know, it was strange the way the love affair began and the way it's continued over the years. But again, rest in peace, Toto Schillaci, and hearts and prayers and minds and stuff like that to his family and the wider community, the Italian community and stuff like that, and the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm right at the moment, Atalanta have just missed a penalty against Arsenal, from what I can see there. We'll keep you updated on those as well. But yeah, some unbelievable moments and stuff like that. And remember, this was, if you remember Channel 4 and everything, Italian football was huge at the time here and stuff. And it was unbelievable. And it was just, Italian football was just so cool. It was slick.
It's a save from David Raya.
Yeah, just saying it there.
David Raya has just saved the penalty, and he's gotten back up and also taken the header from the resulting penalty save as well. Very similar to Onana last week, which was the save, and then got back up off the ground to take the header. So that's big. It might again spur Arsenal into action and get them over the line there, because it's 0-0 at the minute. And they've been under the cosh for the last 15-20 minutes there.
Yeah. Do you know what's interesting when you look at Schillaci's career as well? His international career at Italy, he only had 16 caps and 7 goals. And most of that was probably Italian 90 when you think about it. I mean,
like, that's 1 and 2. 1 and 2 is phenomenal. You know what I mean? 1 and 2 is phenomenal. And the fact that he only managed to have 16 caps is now, listen, don't forget, at that time, as you said, Sunday afternoon for us was Channel 4 and was watching football Italian and stuff like that. James Brackley on a Saturday morning, and then it was Peter Brackley did the commentary on a Sunday, and James something or other did the stuff on a Saturday
the ball guy you're talking about.
That's right, with the glasses, and he was very chilled out with his coffee at the table, and they used to do the news on the papers, and he'd go through this and. But like it was just
the boys presenting the show were immaculately presented as well. Remember, it was real Italian feel to it and stuff like that.
That's right, and it was like at that stage, that's when, you know, Premier League hadn't kicked off at that stage, and we hadn't got the glitz and glamour, and we hadn't got these multi-million-pound deals and stuff, and that was a lot of Italian guys playing in Italy, and we absolutely ate that up. Like, we ate that up every single week over here. I would imagine it was more popular than Sunday Mass at times, you know. And it's great memories going back then. Really, really good memories.
My first ever bet I got up, my first ever Italian football bet I got up back in the day, was a Sampdoria win against Juventus. Can't remember what year it was. But Sampdoria won 3-2. And I remember they scored 3 late goals. It was like a la Bournemouth last week or the week before. 3 late goals to beat Juventus 3-2. It was unbelievable. And they were wearing that old, that old blue style jersey with the red and the stripes going through it and stuff like that. Yeah. He could have been playing at the time, to be honest. Yeah, could have been. Yeah. Absolutely. Folks, make sure as well you're subscribing to the channel, hitting the bell notification button and dropping a like on the video. If you look at some of the videos we've dropped this week as well, the ones that are doing really well, the ones that YouTube are pushing out there are the ones that have the most likes on them. So if you can drop as many, make sure you're liking all the videos, either on the replay or when you're watching it now or on the way out the door at the end of the show. Let's take some comments. Joanne is in. Hello, boys. Hello, Joanne. Hope you have some bets ready for us. Daz is in as well, as always.
Hey, Joanne. Hey, Daz.
Baz is in. Baz is off on his holidays on Sunday off to Lanzarote for a week, right, days. So
he'll off to Lanza for the week, huh? Into Red's Bar in Porto del Carmen and have a few little cheeky ones. Yeah,
Joanne saying bloody hell, what a save, absolutely. And also
I've gotta say, he had a huge impact last season, David Raya. Huge impact. I still at times didn't think we'd seen the best of him, but I think we've started to see the best of him this season. I think if you look at last week, he had a really good game against Spurs in the North London derby. He had a good game the weekend before that as well. Couple of big saves, and then again he's had another good night tonight. He's been very, very good, David Raya.
a bit like Allison, isn't it? Sometimes you can forget the impact he's having because you've such a good defense in front as well. And we wax lyrical about Saliba and Gabriel and Virgil and all these defenders and stuff like that, and we forget the impact that the keepers have as well and stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean,
absolutely
if you've had the thing about playing for a big team is if you have those defenders in front of you and they're doing a job for 80, 85 minutes of the game, you may not be called on very often. So keeping that level of concentration up and pulling off that one save in the 89th minute to get you the win is the importance of it. You're not like, a Jordan Pickford who's facing 10, 12 shots a game and saving 10 or 11 of them. That's not the case. It's very, very different. So it is a tough position to be in, but he's doing very well at the minute, Ray.
Hence probably the difference between him and Ramsdale, where Ramsdale always struggled to keep that level of concentration.
I think Ramsdale's concentration is the one thing that's going to keep him from being a really top keeper, because I think if you look at it, he's agile, he's sharp, he can command the box, he does so many good things, but he needs to be kept busy. And I think that's the one thing that's going to stop him getting to the top of the tree, because I think when it comes to games and you've only got to do one or two things at games, he's gone up. The head's left the building and he's off in Paddy Power's thinking about having a bet, or he's down the pub having a point with the lads, or he's
hence the reason when he was playing for Sheffield, I think it was, or whatever, he was so good because he was probably getting bombarded with shots all the time, so he never got the time to lose.
So the likes of a Southampton move suits him down to the ground,
Who wins on Saturday? Joshua.
I think AJ. My cousin Jean is actually going to the fight. She's a big Anthony Joshua fan. It's definitely not her first Anthony Joshua fight. She's painted 3 or 4 at this stage. I know she's a big fan of Anthony as a boxer and as a male, let's call it. You know what I mean? So she's heading over herself, and our partner Dean are going over. So big shout out to the guys, and hope you enjoy the fight and stuff like that.
Yeah, dangerous opponent though. Dangerous opponent.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
I mean, we know at times Joshua can be a little bit classy around the chin, and if the ball lands, he could land a killer blow.
Big boy.
He is a big boy. I just think Joshua has a little more experience than him. I think sometimes with some of these younger fighters, as they get a bit older, they learn some lessons, and I think that's what's happened. I think Joshua's learned a lot of lessons, and I think now, you'll probably see the best of them in the latter years.
Absolutely. Right. We are going to talk later about, obviously, news coming out today from Manchester United about Old Trafford and the situation. We'll have a chat about that. We're also going to have a chat later on as well about the comments from Alison Becker and about Rodri in relation to player welfare and the amount of games and all that kind of stuff. We'll chat about that. We'll do a quick recap as well, Carabao Cup and Champions League as well. But we get the Premier League preview done first. So
can't wait for that Carabao Cup preview or review. Just can't wait for that, man.
I put it in there on purpose for you.
I was waiting all week for this, yeah.
Did you see the stuff going around? Man United 7, Barcelona 0, or whatever it was.
Barcelona.
Yeah, because I had the bar at the top and stuff like that. Really cool. Right, let's kick it off. Lunchtime, West Ham versus Chelsea.
Yeah, tough game for Chelsea. Tough game for Chelsea. I think obviously they picked up a really good win on the road last week, late in the day against Bournemouth. Were able to nick one at the death. West Ham probably haven't got any of the results they've garnered with some of the performances, because some of the performances have been better than the results would say. I think this will be tough for Chelsea, but I think there'll be a couple of goals in it. And I think I'm going to go along the lines of a draw here. I think I'm going to go 2-2. Yeah, there you go. Look.
2-2.
That's me, Ted. That's where I was off it as well, Ted. 2-2.
Spot on. Daz is thinking West Ham 3-1. Don't know about that, Daz. I think West Ham have looked a tad bit disjointed at the start of this season. I think Lopetegui is still trying to figure out what he wants there and stuff like that.
I don't think they've looked that disjointed, in fairness to them. I think they've been struggling for goals, and that's part of it. But I think a lot of what he's trying to implement at West Ham is starting to stick. I mean, if you look at the style of play and stuff like that, the first couple of games he was out without a lot of the players that he had brought in. Whereas I think when you come in on Saturday, you'll see a lot of the guys start. You'll see, I expect to see Tadibo start. I expect to see Wan-Bissaka start. I expect Crysencio, Son of Merville. I expect Nicholas Fulcrum all to start the game. And I think when those guys and the players that they brought in get a little run of games, I think you'll see a much, much better West Ham team. I don't think they're miles off doing something.
I kind of meant till now because they've had a kind of a changed front line as well. Because you've had Nicholas Fulkrug in there as well. Switched it out last week and brought in Mikel Antonio up at the tip and stuff like that. So changes in there where he's trying to figure stuff out and stuff, Plus Somerville came in last week, didn't have a great game in fairness. So yeah, but obviously it's either his first or his second game in, I think, or something like that. So obviously time on the side as well. Yeah, Joanne's going for a 2-2 as well. So yeah, seems to be the consensus. Aston Villa versus Wolves derby.
Yeah, good Midlands derby. Wolves obviously just got pipped off last week by Newcastle. Another good result for Newcastle away from home. And Villa obviously with a big win, with a big come from behind win against Everton to nick it at the end. And then Villa going again during the week and picking up another good win in the Champions League action. The most impressive thing from the Aston Villa game, does anybody know what it was?
During the Champions League one?
Yes.
Well, I suppose Watkins finding his stride is obviously big.
That's not it.
What was it?
Did you happen to see the jersey they wore?
I didn't see the game. I only seen the highlights, but I wasn't focusing on it.
Dear Lord. I think it's just taken the title for the best looking jersey in the league. Absolutely beautiful. Like a deep navy with a very thin silver stripe and logos on it. Just really beautiful. Really, really beautiful, I have to say. Big fan of it. I was talking to a Villa fan the other night and we were discussing a couple of things and I said, oh, by the way, what about that kit? And he said, best we've ever had. I said, yeah. I don't think you're wrong.
Ted's going for a 2-0 to Villa and Daz is going for another 2-2.
I don't think it'll be as clear cut as 2-2 because I think obviously Villa spending time on the road this week in Switzerland won't make life easy. That plastic pitch can sap a bit of the energy out of the legs as well. And we know Wolves will bring everything with them on Saturday. I expect Wolves to be in the game for long periods, but I do think Villa will just manage to nick them off at the end. And I'm actually going to go Villa 3-2 for the second week in a row.
Villa 3-2. Yeah, obviously Wolves are on the road to Brighton as well, weren't they, in the Carabao Cup, losing 3-2.
That's right.
Yeah. Joanne's going for a 2-0. Aston Villa 2, Wolves 0. Interesting. Fulham versus Newcastle.
Yeah. Again, two teams playing very, very well and stuff like that. Newcastle with a good win last weekend. Fulham dropped a couple of points at home to West Ham, but it wasn't an easy game and they were in it for long periods. Probably could have nicked it at the end and stuff like that. But I think this will probably follow suit with what happened last week in the Newcastle Wolves game. I think Fulham will be in it for long periods, but I just think Newcastle have too much firepower for Fulham. And Joanne's just beat me to the punch. I think 2-1 Newcastle.
Yeah, I think obviously Fulham the other night are going to be very disappointed as well. 31 penalties against Preston North End and obviously getting banjoed out of the Carabao Cup in that fashion. Big job for Marco Silva over the next couple of days to absolutely lift them there, Tough.
There wasn't too many bad ones either, don't forget. There was only 3 misses of the whole team.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you're prolonged, I mean, that probably nearly went on to probably 11 o'clock, maybe later.
No, it would have been before, but at 10:30 anyway. Because there was no extra time.
Yeah, but you're talking 31 penalties.
Yeah, but
and looking at the highlights that I seen, they weren't taking them too quick either. Because I looked at the whittled down highlights for the penalties, and it was 15 minutes.
Boy,
both missing the night penalty was madness. It was madness. Yeah, the way they both missed it. It was crazy.
Yeah, very good.
What are you going for? A tight Newcastle win?
I'm gonna go 2-1 Newcastle. Yeah, I think Newcastle will just pip them off.
Let's talk then. Leicester City versus Everton. Everton with a horrific start to the season. Also out of the Carabao Cup on penalties. I think to Southampton, as far as if I'm right, yeah.
Yeah, actually, the miss.
Away to Leicester City. Leicester City, we know if they've any hope of surviving in the division, they're going to have to pick up a lot of points at home. We mentioned it last week as well. What are you saying here? You saying a Leicester win?
Well, like if you look last weekend, Leicester went away from home and got a good draw away at Crystal Palace, and I know they'd a meeting with the Premier League on Monday, because Leicester had a goal chalked off with VAR, and they met with the PGMOL on Monday because Leicester are pretty sure that the lines drawn weren't the correct lines. I just seen an interview with the manager there before they come up, Cooper, and he was saying like the line where it was drawn was completely in the wrong spot. He said, so they've taken a goal away from us when it should have stood. He said, and with the effect of that, he said, it's cost us the game. And the PGMOL have come out and said, no, it was the lines were drawn the way they should have been. Everything's hunky dory, blah blah. So it's hard to know. I think Leicester have done all right this season so far. I didn't necessarily expect them to be in as many of the games as they are. Like, week 1 they get a good draw at Spurs. Week 2, okay, they lose week 2, but they just get pipped off 2-1 at Fulham. Craven's Cottage is not an easy place to go. Week 3 then again they lose 2-1 to Aston Villa. There's absolutely no shame in that. And then last weekend, very good account of themselves, 2-2 at Palace. So although they haven't picked up the points that they're looking for yet, they've been playing quite well, and that's not really something that Everton have been doing. Jamie Vardy playing a big role for Leicester. A couple of young lads in midfield as well. Oliver Skip and Harvey and Winks, the boy Winks, Harry Winks, playing big roles there for Leicester. I think this could be another tough day for Sean Dyche, and I think if it is, and if Leicester beat Everton, it's over.
Yeah, he'll go in Moyes.
Yeah, probably. Provided he takes it. Provided he wants it, and obviously a lot of stuff going around in the background, with the takeover and stuff like that. I think obviously if Moyes was going to take the gig, he'd want to know that the ownership was going to change hands, there was going to be money available and stuff like that. And
stuff in
January. It's all very, very difficult because of the PSR and stuff like that. Now, we know David Moyes can get a tune out of a football team either way. And I do think there is some decent players there at Everton. I think they're a little bit unlucky at the minute. He's carrying a number of injuries. Like, I mean, the best player he had on the pitch last season, the boy Jared Brantwaite, he hasn't played a game yet this season. And it doesn't look like he will for another few weeks.
And losing Onana was massive.
Losing Onana. Well, you look at the impact he's had at Champions League chasing Aston Villa. Like, you make that big of an impact, and you take him out of your team as well. I think there is some bright sparks wherever. I think the boy Iliman Ndoye has been phenomenal since he came in from Marseille. He was in the league previously with Sheffield United and was very, very good. He's again a shining light. Calvert-Lewin getting back on the score sheet. They've just got the boy Decore back. McNeil is doing pretty well, and Harrison's done okay. I think the issue is based around that defensive midfield role, the back four and the keeper. So up to a point, they're kind of holding their own a little bit, but at the back, some of the stuff at the back has just been catastrophe stuff. I think I've watched a couple of games, and I got to be honest, Michael Keane has been absolutely horrendous.
Yeah,
absolutely horrendous.
Yeah,
Tarkovsky always does a certain amount. He's a decent guy. He put his head in most places, I think Keane has been absolutely dreadful. And to be honest with you, I have no idea how the boy Jake O'Brien hasn't been put in ahead of him yet.
A lot of questions around that, isn't there? A lot of questions around that.
It's baffling. You go and you buy a kid like this, and who's done very, very well at Lyon last season and in the French Ligue 1. He's obviously made his international debut quite recently as well, and like lots of stuff is building momentum there for O'Brien. And then you're kind of stopped in your tracks behind Michael Keane, who for a number of years now at Everton was a bit part player. So very, very strange. I think he's been a horrendous Kane, and I think, but when they get Brantwaite back, you'll certainly see, a better version of Everton, and I think you'll probably see a bit more of O'Brien as well.
Yeah, we spoke about Kane a number of times last season as well, about how we thought he was even done at that stage. So I don't know. And if you have Tarkowski in there who has one eye over his shoulder trying to figure out what Kane's doing, as well as trying to do his own job as well,
and to
that's
be honest
a bad
with you,
recipe.
that absolutely looks like it's what's happening.
That's what's happening.
Tarkowski knows if he's got Brantwaite beside him, I focus and concentrate, I get my bit done. This kid behind me does his thing, and we rock out. Whereas at the minute, he's looking at Kane and he's like, what's he going to do next? And he's trying to cover both jobs, and it's not working. And it's then painting Tarkowski in a bad picture. We know that's not right either. He's a good footballer, the lad. He's brave. He'll put everything on it for you. Plays for the jersey, plays with his heart. Really good, solid, old style kind of centre back,
Surely he'll ring the changes on Saturday. If he doesn't, then questions have to be asked anyway, don't they?
I believe there's 3 or 4 players that are 50-50 to play anyway through injury. One of which is Tarkowski.
That's really tough.
Yeah, one of which is Tarkowski, and I can't remember who the other 2 are. I think one of them.
Are we potentially looking at a Jake O'Brien and Michael Keane defence?
Possibly.
Good Lord.
Possibly.
Good Lord.
I think Everton will get something out of this, but I don't think they'll win. If Leicester manage to get over the line, I think it's good night, Deutsch, but I think I'll go 1-1 on it.
Score a draw. Live the fight one more week or something.
I want to just give a little shout out for someone here on this Leicester Everton game. I don't know if you've seen much of this guy yet, but you're gonna see a lot of him. And his name, I'm just looking for his first name because I think it's Herman. So we have Mads Hermansson, which is the Leicester goalkeeper. If you haven't seen this lad yet, he is highly, highly impressive. Really, really is. He's a 24-year-old Danish international, and he is going to be a star.
Herman the German.
Not quite, Ted. Not quite. Herman the Dane.
Yeah, just to let you know, folks, 73 minutes gone, 0-0 at Atlanta and Arsenal. Urian Timber has just come off and Calafiori has just come on. Yeah, so just
that's good for Arsenal that he's back on the pitch as well.
Yeah,
Calafiori after the injury and stuff.
Badly needed. Liverpool versus Bournemouth. Liverpool obviously on a poor result last week for Nottingham Forest, but obviously made amends with a big win in the week. Champions League against AC Milan in the San Siro. Bournemouth looked good this season. Lots of energy, lots of really, really good play. Haven't necessarily got what they deserved at times. What you thinking on this one?
I think Bournemouth are a really tidy football team. I think they're a really well coached football team by Antonio Iraola. I think they're they're a compact unit at Bournemouth. I think if you look at the game last week, they could have been out of sight of Chelsea before Chelsea get into the game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, you've got the penalty miss, but Robert Sanchez, for me, was man of the match.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know they gave it to Jadon Sancho for his exploits in the second half, but, if you look at the stats there, Bournemouth had 15 shots, 8 of which were on target. And Chelsea had 6 shots, 3 of which were on target. So that tells a tale itself. Bournemouth have been good. They carry a threat going forward. The boy Evan Nilsson, the striker that they paid all the money from to replace Dominic Solanke, he came in from Porto. He's Brazilian. He's done everything but score, this kid. He's running the channels. He's holding the ball up well. He chases and he presses from the front. Really, really good footballer, this kid. Hasn't found his finishing boots yet, but previous stories will tell us that he can finish because he's done it at Porto. So I think it's just a confidence thing. I think when he starts scoring, this kid won't stop. He could be one for the Fantasy Football League as well because he's at a very low price. I think he'll give you a little bit of trouble. I think he will give you a little bit of trouble. And with that in mind, I'm going to go Liverpool, but I'm going to only just go Liverpool 2-1.
Liverpool 2-1. I'll
Yeah.
take your hand off for that right now.
Well, I think as we talk about with Champions League and stuff like that, I think 2-1, get out of the building with the win, get some lads rest during the week and stuff like that, and then get back to the next weekend and stuff,
Yeah, sorry to hear that, bro, about the strikes on your copyright stuff and all, and losing some of your subs in your channel and all. So get back on it again. Yeah, your volume just jumped there slightly, Darren, a bit.
Jumped up.
Yeah, just jumped up. It's grand, though. Grand. Great weather we're having. Yeah, absolutely. I was gardening.
Sure is.
Where are we going next then? Southampton versus Ipswich. Yeah.
Yeah, Ipswich and Southampton, obviously two of the good teams, or two of the teams that have come up, two of the promoted teams and stuff like that. I think Ipswich had a good draw last weekend away to Fulham. Have been in all of the games pretty much that they've played so far. Obviously the City one's a bit of an anomaly, but we know it was a difficult start to the season. 2 draws on the bounce. Southampton struggling for goals, struggling for clean sheets, struggling performances. I'm actually going to go Ipswich this weekend. I'm going to go Ipswich, and I'm going to go Ipswich 2-1. Yeah, I'm with you, Ted.
There you go. Yeah, it got banned on Monday when I didn't do anything to get copyrighted. Yeah, it's just... Listen, they make up the rules. Yamal scored for Barcelona. What a player.
He did earlier on. Is that a second he's got, or?
I'm telling you now, it must be a second. Where are we? Barcelona. No, just the one.
Just the one from earlier. They're 2-1 down at the minute.
Eric Garcia got a red card in the 10th minute.
Making life very difficult for everybody, isn't he?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, Ipswich. Daz is going Ipswich with a 1-0. You're on the same wavelength there, you and Ted. Absolutely. 100%.
We absolutely are, Ted. Yeah, 100%, pal.
Spurs versus Brentford. Talk to me about Spurs. Obviously picked up the win last night. Absolutely stole it from Coventry, I would say. Coventry were by far the better team by a country mile. Really, really struggling in the league. Couldn't get the job done or even ground out the draw against it. Played at Arsenal side. Lost 7 in their last 11 league games. What you thinking at the moment?
Did you watch the Arsenal game yourself?
I did.
And did you think they played poorly?
I didn't think they played poorly, but what I did think they did was they kind of fed into what they kind of fed into the Arsenal. I think what way would you describe it? They fed into the way Arsenal wanted them to feed in. And I think we knew that Arsenal, I kind of felt with Arsenal with the way things, with the players they were missing and stuff like that, and how Odegaard pulls the strings and stuff like that, it was going to be difficult for them. And I felt we were going to get, if Ant was going to come from that side, it was going to be a Gabriel or a Saliba or something like that. That's how I felt it would come from. How did you feel about it? I mean, how have you felt about them so far? I mean, the Spurs fans are going absolutely ballistic.
I watched last weekend, and I got to be honest, I've no idea how they lost the game. I've genuinely no idea how they lost the game. I get the set piece thing, and if we go back 12 months and we watch what happened in the North London derby last year, it was 3 set pieces that undone them. But I mean, I never looked at the game other than when a corner was being put in the box and thought they looked under pressure, thought they looked like, they were being hemmed into their own box or anything like that. I thought they had a huge amount of possession. They bossed the game in the middle of the park. And I just thought the biggest letdown for me was with the team they went out with it being so attacking. You had Brennan Johnson, you had Kulusevski, you had Mad Bins, you had Solanke, and you had Son. And between 5 of them, they couldn't create enough to take 1 or 2 chances between them. Like, they're 5 really, really good players. Arsenal did a phenomenal job of sitting in as a defensive unit and grinding out a victory, and all the respect in the world for them doing that. As I said to someone during the week, it was like watching Arsenal under George Graham. It was 1-0 to the Arsenal. And that's how I felt about it. But I got to be honest, like, if I'm Ange Postecoglou after last weekend, I'm scratching my head how I've lost the game. I really am. I thought it was as one-sided a North London derby as I've seen in a while, albeit the score sheet.
Yeah, I don't know. I look at Madison there. He's come in and he hasn't really done a whole lot. I look at Brennan Johnson there. He's a pale comparison to the one that was at Forest. We spoke about it last week. You look at Son, who's getting on a little bit now when you think about it, the length of time he's been there. Richarlison obviously not available. Kulichevsky hasn't hit the straps that he hit the first season he came in. Bentancur, with all that other nonsense that was going on, still finds himself in the team and having to start and stuff like that, which is an interesting kind of. I mean, if we speak about Enzo and what happened at Chelsea, we got to speak about Bentancur and what happened there as well.
I think he probably didn't start only for the fact Sarr was coming back from Senegal.
Yeah, and then you've got obviously Solanke, Solanke as well, of course, who really hasn't hit his straps there yet either.
Not yet, no. But I think I think I'd have an awful lot of faith in him hitting the straps there eventually.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we saw enough at Bournemouth to know that there's a footballer there, and I think at times last week there was stuff he did, and I thought, okay, he's coming around here, because I mean in the first 15-20 minutes he had the two centre backs absolutely pinned to the wall, and he was bullying them. And you're thinking, right, if this continues, but in fairness to Gabriel and Saliba, they came back into it. And especially because there was a couple of early bookings, and I kind of thought to myself, and I put it into the group, I says, I'll be shocked if there's not a red here somewhere, because there was tackles going in all over the park.
Yeah, well, the refs obviously, we spoke about it on the Monday show. The refs really destroyed the football at the weekend.
Yeah, but I think it's different if you look at the Chelsea Bournemouth game. It wasn't a dirty game. Like Chelsea Bournemouth wasn't a dirty game. There's 15 cards. Like, that's mental. But I think what we saw in the North London derby was we actually saw tackles, and lads were going in. It was helter-skelter. It was end-to-end, which we thought it might be. So, it was good to see. I felt the ref in the Arsenal game let the game flow much better, say, than Anthony Taylor did the day before in the Chelsea Bournemouth game, which isn't a game with all of this stuff attached to it,
Yeah. I think probably when you're dishing out a few cards early on, you're probably conscious as a ref as well of spoiling the party, really, you know what I mean? So you're kind of maybe a bit more conscious to it and stuff that. Whereas the Chelsea game was just ludicrous altogether. I don't know what was going on there. And I don't know if you've caught that show yet with Michael Owen and Howard Webb.
Yeah.
You'll want to just smash your head off a wall at this stage. When you listen to the VAR for the right sending off or kicking the ball away, that VAR is absolutely pathetic. Never heard anything like it. Absolutely.
What part of it did you not agree with, or did you not?
It's not. I didn't disagree with the decision or anything like that. I didn't disagree with that. But when you listen to these guys talking, they're just buffoons. And apparently there was a part in it where the recommendation for the second yellow came from VAR, and that's not supposed to happen. Apparently that's not supposed to happen or something like that. They're not supposed to directly recommend a second yellow. Directly.
Now, did you watch it yourself, or?
I didn't. I listened to the audio on the show. I did watch the match as well, but I listened to the audio on the show, the VAR audio. But these guys telling the ref turn around going.
Well, the ref is saying to him, and the ref is going. Yeah, but the ref is saying to him, Deck. He calls him Deck a couple of times. He said, Deck. He said, you've given me no choice. He said, you played the ball. He said, you've given me no choice. And the card was always coming. There was no, I don't believe it was, and again, I watched it, so I don't believe that there was any, that the fourth official was the one to pull the trigger on it.
No, I've no issue at all with the decision. I've no issue at all with the sending off. I've the issue with four lads conversing on VAR, sounding like four lads down the pump, tagged up. These lads just sounded like absolute fools. If you listen to the actual audio and the language that they're using, they're supposed to be a professional outfit. They're supposed to be professional. They're talking like four lads having a bit of crack. It's terrible. And your man saying to the ref, you got to look after yourself. What does that mean? The VAR official says to the ref, make sure you look after yourself. What's he expecting? Royce to come over and run him in the head or something like that? What's going on here? This is ridiculous. You know what I mean?
No,
It's the
well,
biggest.
I think he's got to be mindful of the situation and what's going on. And, he's just giving feed into the referee's ear. Maybe there's stuff going on that the referee can't see and the VAR can on the wider screen in the pan. You know what I mean? Like,
It
I
just to
watched
me,
it. I didn't find as much difficulty with it as you did. And the
I
one thing
just
I did find was Howard Webb, afterwards, obviously, he spoke and he held his hands up and he said, because a lot of Arsenal fans were like, well, Pedro should have been booked in the first half. And where went? He absolutely should have. Absolutely. That's when we got wrong. He said, and we've conveyed that message to the team. He said, but that doesn't mean that Rice shouldn't have got what he got because something's fallen down elsewhere,
Yeah, it's just for me, I just like if this is supposed to be so professional and all this kind of stuff and the wedge that's getting paid and all this kind of thing, these lads have to
Now,
act in a much more
You
professional manner.
haven't seen it then, pal, if that's what you're thinking.
I know there's definitely no issue about the Rice situation. There's not.
No,
Like,
but Ted is
that
saying the
decision.
lad taking the free kick just booted at him. No, he puts the ball down on the ground and the ball is still rolling. And as he's going to take it, Rice toe pokes it outside. So
Yeah,
that's a yellow all day long.
And they made the point on the ball moving as well that they said, yeah, there's only, what was the point they were going to make? The way I heard it was kind of like there's only so many things they can zone in on to arrive at a decision, and they didn't look at the ball in motion.
I think the referee, I think the Webb and the referee thing was that if he takes the free kick while it's moving, the referee is going to pull it back anyway.
And it doesn't change the fact that Rice kicked the ball away.
But Rice doesn't give him the opportunity to do that because he plays the ball while your man is taking steps to kick it.
Yeah.
So one kind of usurps the other.
Yeah, the ball in motion was irrelevant to the decision. Really.
Absolutely.
Once Rice kicked the ball away, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can't take a free kick and ball is moving, so Rice didn't actually waste any time. But he did because that ball
is going to come to a standstill. That ball is going to, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with you on it, but it's more the language that they use and all, and this look after yourself, you know what I mean? Like, we're not in the middle of an ice hockey game where lads are upending each other or something, you know what I mean? Let's get real here, Right, where were we? Southampton, you get Spurs, Brentford. You have to give me, what did you give me on that one?
Yeah, I think they'll get over the line, Spurs, but I don't think it'll be an easy day at the office either, because again, Brentford have started off pretty well this season. They're scoring goals and stuff like that. They're causing difficulty all over the pitch for teams. So I think Spurs will nick it, but I think Spurs 2-1. I don't think it'll be free-flowing football by any stretch of the imagination,
Yeah. Palace, Man United?
I suppose if you're ever going to go to Selhurst Park, now is not a bad time. Obviously off 2 wins, 2 clean sheets and 10 goals for us. And obviously Palace haven't been at it so far this season. They've looked a shadow of the team that they were last season under Glasner. Now listen, we knew that there was going to be changes. Obviously, the boy Anderson's left and he's left a huge hole in that defence and that they're struggling to fill at the minute. And then the boy Michael Elise on the other side from Eberechi Eze. I think now we're at a stage where if you're playing Crystal Palace and you can stop Eberechi Eze, you will stop Palace. Whereas I think last season, if you stopped Eze, it'll be Elise. Then if you stop Elise, it'll be Eze. And then if you stop both of them, it might be Mateta. But I think at the minute, if you can cut off the supply chain from Eberechi Eze, you're putting yourself in a good chance. I would love to see United win here. I really, really would. I think it's huge after the win last weekend, and after the win during the week. I think this would be. Yeah, I think it'd be massive. I certainly don't see 4-0 United at all. If we got 2-1 United, I take our hand off for it. 3 points here for me is more important than anything else that goes on the day. So I'm going to go United 2-1.
Fair enough. So we go into Sunday then. Brighton versus Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, listen. Forest, obviously the giant killer from last week.
Eddie and Keddy.
Yeah. He might get a seat in the bleeding stand this week because he was about as useful as that last week. I think Forest, obviously, off the back of a huge result last week at Anfield, huge, will be buoyed by that. I think we spoke about it last season and we maybe didn't see it all the time. We spoke about the likes of Hudson-Odoi, we spoke about Gibbs White, and we spoke about Anthony Alanga causing trouble for teams. It's a really good front kind of three in behind your striker. You've got guys who'll press, you've got guys who can create, who can score, everything, you know. So really, really good. Brighton, though, I think just have a lot of firepower. I really think, especially at home. The boy Adingra, if you've seen them play Wolves in the Carabao, was phenomenal. I expect him to start. The boy Kadioglu came on, got a goal. He's a new left back. And I think, you know, Minta and a couple of the new lads really, really are rejuvenating that Brighton team. So I'm going to go Brighton here, but I'm going to go Brighton and Forest to get on the mark, because I think Forest, you know, I think Brighton are quite open. They give you chances. And I think Forest will take at least one of them. And Ted, what are you doing to me here? Just give me 5 seconds, Ted, will you? We must have been. Yeah, we're nailing this tonight, Ted. Yeah, 2-1. 2-1 Brighton. 3-1 Brighton. Go on.
Whatever you do, put the bets on, because when we get to beat the bookie as well, Darren has something to share with us. He had a beauty last week again. So if you're following them, get in there. Daz thinks 2-0. Joanne's 2-0 as well. And former Arsenal player arrested in London Stansted Airport over cannabis. Didn't see that.
J. Emmanuel Thomas is his name.
Oh, okay.
Was a big prospect at Arsenal at one stage. £600,000 worth of cannabis, apparently. Wow. I think he's just been let go by his club, which is like St. Mirren or Kilmarnock or something like that. He's playing up in Scotland, but they're linking it to him. It's come in from Thailand, I believe, and it's linked to J. Emmanuel Thomas, from what I heard.
Not good. Right, and then the Super Sunday, I suppose, Man City versus Arsenal.
I was putting my bets together, and I looked at this one, and I thought to myself, every single thing about this says Manchester City, but I can't back against Arsenal.
Do you know what it is? We sat here for the FA Cup, didn't we? And I said every single thing points to Man City.
So, I just think, you know, after the hiccup during the week, not getting the win at home against Inter, I think they'll be out for Arsenal's head. But I think Arsenal just wear teams down at times, don't they? They just wear teams down. You know, they grind stuff out. And I think, again, when you're going in with the Salibas and the Whites and the Gabriels, and you've got that kind of firepower up in the air, you're always in with a chance of nicking something.
I think with City, I think it's tough to go up. Like, it's one thing going to Spurs and playing that way and getting
absolutely.
The job done. I think with the talent that City have, if they go with the same approach, and obviously Rice is back, but if they go with the same approach, you know, City take some of those chances or create better chances.
It shouldn't be a contest, but I think it will be. It shouldn't, but I think it will be. He's done it again. He's done it. You've done it again, Teddy. Yeah, that's what I had. That's what I said to you. I looked at it and I looked at it and I looked at it and I said, you know what? I said, they're going to get something out of this. They're just going to get something out of this, by hook or by crook, because that's what they do.
Arsenal matches finished 0-0, by the way.
Right. Difficult to finish on the Thursday night. Now, I know it's not till Sunday, but still difficult. But, you know, you're getting out of Italy. That flight from Italy's probably a solid 2.5 hours to London. You know, it's now 10 o'clock. If they get home in the early hours of the morning, they're late into bed. Tomorrow then is a cool down day. Saturday you're in to do set pieces and stuff like that.
And then
tomorrow's recovery and then you're probably on a flight to Manchester on Sunday morning, maybe, or possibly even Saturday night. That it's busy. It's very busy. City having the luxury of being at home and being at home to Inter the other night. So all things, everyone's going to be sleeping in their own beds with their families and eating their favourite meals and the whole shooting match. And it makes life a little bit easier. Go on, City 2-1.
There you go, City 2-1. Any truth to that? De Bruyne out with a hamstring?
Not sure, to be honest with you. I will have a look now. He's not in my team, but if I go and try and change somebody around, it'll tell me. Picks. Transfers. Let's have a look here. Take him out, and I'll try and put him in. Replace. So what's he say? He has a knock. He's got 75% chance of playing. But you never know with De Bruyne.
Yeah. Right. Let's talk Carabao Cup.
Okay, fine.
Down through pretty quick. I
did you know we won 7-0?
I did. I seen that you won 7-0. I did indeed. And
that was a long time coming, yeah. I don't even say it was Barnsley. It means nothing to me that it was Barnsley. It could have been Raheny United. Do you know what I mean? I just think
7-7. Regardless.
7-7. I think there was so many pluses come out of the game for us. You know, I think obviously Garnacho getting a couple, Rashford getting a couple, and building a little bit of confidence and stuff like that. I think obviously Anthony. I loved Rashford giving him the penalty. I loved it. Now I know we're 1-0 up at that stage, and things are probably a little bit easier than if it's 0-0 or whatever. But I just looked around and I thought, he's giving this to this guy because he needs it more than he does. Do you know what I mean? And I just thought that's the kind of thing I want to see from my team.
I expecting, like, I mean, with the options that you have there and everything else, bar injury or an injury crisis, are you expecting Anthony to feature much this?
No, well, I mean, like, we've 3 forward positions. We've the right-sided forward, the left-sided forward, and we've our centre forward, yeah? And we've 6 players for those 3 positions. Sorry, we've 6 players for those 3 positions. So we've 2 players in each spot. On the left, you have Rashford and Garnacho. On the right, you have Ahmad and you have Anthony, albeit, you know, Garnacho can play on that side. And then you've got Højlund and Xerxes through the middle. But, like, a couple of injuries, you know, and if Rashford got injured and all of a sudden Garnacho had to play on the left, and then something happens, one of the strikers, and Ahmad is then playing as a false 9, then Anthony's your next in. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's a massive stretch. I think we've got Europa League and Carabao Cup. We need players to play games. I think they're the types of games I want to see Anthony play in, and then I want to see him have cameos off the bench and try and build confidence in that kind of way. I don't want to be going away to Man City and seeing him in the starting 11. But I definitely think there's a place for him in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. We spoke about the Carabao Cup when they did the draw and how kind of hokey a bit it was with the way they did the seedings and all that kind of stuff. Is it playing out now in front of us here? Obviously, we have a round of fixtures next week as well. But is it playing out here in front of us? I mean, obviously, with the exception of the Preston game, obviously. But you're looking at a very heavy-weighted Premier League presence.
Yes, it is top heavy. It is top heavy, you know, as you would call it. Preston obviously nicking the win against Fulham on penalties, and Southampton and Everton the same again. But again, that's an all Premier League tie. Yeah. But I think other than that, like, it was kind of what we would have expected. Crystal Palace left it late, mind you, against QPR, and it was down to one Eberechi Eze to get the winner. Back at his old stomping ground at Loftus Road. So yeah, I think Spurs going through and Brighton and stuff like that. There was no massive surprises. Everyone got through and we move on type thing, you know.
Yeah, I just wonder, you know, yourself, if they reverted back to the old way, you know, you see, like, you know, United smashing Barnsley 7-0, you know what I mean? And it's kind of...
I do think it's going to come under the microscope pretty soon. I do think the Carabao is probably going to be looked at in the next couple of years. I don't believe with Manchester City playing in the Champions League they should be involved in the Carabao Cup at this early stage. And if they're not involved at that early stage, are they involved at all? And I feel the same about Arsenal. I think maybe
Are
the
you
Carabao.
You spoke about this before. Are you thinking the Carabao
Yeah.
Cup should be that kind of cup that you take maybe the top 6 European teams that are playing out of the Premier League, take them out of the equation, and it's everyone else's kind of thing? Or
yeah, me personally, I would take any team that qualifies for Europe out of it. And obviously, if league positions dictate top 6, you've your 4 Champions League, you've your Europa League, and your conference. I think if that's the way it dictates it, take the top 6 out and promote 6 teams in from lower divisions, give them a revenue stream and stuff like that. But I just think if you look at, a Man City or an Arsenal or a Liverpool, there's the ability to cut out 6 games.
Yeah. And it's unfair to the cup and the other teams playing in it that you parachute them in at later stages again.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because it's really because if you're the likes of, who was in there the other night? Fleetwood Town, who've probably played nearly every round of the Carabao Cup. You know what I mean? What do they have to do? Play 5 or 6 rounds before they eventually, come up against the likes of a Liverpool or a United or an Arsenal or whatever. It's kind of unfair, you know what I mean? It's in the so I don't know.
No, and I also think if you look at what's happened over the last number of years, they've a football league trophy now, and it's for like League 2, League 1, League 2 type thing, and it gives teams an opportunity to get to Wembley. I think that opens the door again where you can possibly even keep the cup a little more romantic, where you can have a QPR go the length, you can have a Fleetwood, you can have a Sheffield Wednesday, because they don't have these giants. Like Manchester City are playing Inter Milan on Wednesday night. They don't need to be worried about Fleetwood Town next Tuesday. That's nonsensical. That's nonsensical. It's not good for Fleetwood Town. It's not good, other than financially, it's not good for Manchester City. Well,
unless if they want the bigger clubs there for one reason or another, maybe revenue streams, stuff.
Well,
like
I mean,
we know that playing their 23s or something like that,
We know that. Listen, the 23s would be fine. They do this already in the Football League Trophy, and the 23s join in with the League 1 teams and League 2 teams and stuff like that. It would weaken the competition. It would weaken the competition, Ted, absolutely. And I suppose that's where, the sponsors and stuff like that probably wouldn't be happy. But I think the other thing is we're talking about player welfare. Something's going to have to give somewhere. And I think if you look at, okay, is it going to be the World Cup? No. Is it going to be the AFCON? No. Is it going to be European Championships? No. Is it the Champions League? No. Is it the Premier League? No. Then you're at an FA Cup. And then you're at a Carabao. It's the most inferior competition that any Premier League team will play in week to week, or season to season. So we've got to. That's the logical place for it to be looked at.
And you got to remember as well, if you think about the amount of money caught up in the Champions League and the Premier League and the money that surrounds that and down through the pyramid and all that kind of stuff. These two boys, it leads us into this because we were going to talk about the Champions League, but there's not much to talk about in at this stage anyway, with it being a league and stuff like that. It's first day games. Allison made a point the other day. He said nobody asks the players for their input on what they think. They're just used as pawns in this game, basically. And he also made the point as well. He made the point that, is it reducing the quality of the product that's on offer because the players are playing so much, they're getting bet down into the ground, they're not performing at 100%, they can't recover in time, all this kind of thing. So you're going to eventually get a watered down product where top players are just
we already got it.
Yeah, we've seen it. Yeah, but look at what's even. Yeah, but look even the drop off each season. Look at Bukayo Saka last 6-8 weeks of the season, just hits a wall, boom. Can't do anything. And we've said it before. It's one thing to repair physical exhaustion. It's another thing to try and repair mental exhaustion and get players back from that point. And that's a very tough thing to do. So he was making that point. Obviously, Rodri turned around as well and he says, are we close to players going on strike? What was your thoughts on both these guys' comments? Because obviously it leads nicely in from what we're talking about.
It sure does. I agree with both of them wholeheartedly. I think they're the most important piece of the jigsaw. The players. I think without the players and without the standard of players and the quality of the players and the charismatic players and stuff like that, I don't think the fans get as involved. I think it's driven by, I'm going to see United. I'm going to look for Garnacho. He's somebody I like. Manu. I like De Ligt. I want to see certain players. So I'm there to see my team, but it's driven by the players at that time. And I think, it's getting very, very difficult for them because I think they're just being absolutely overloaded with game time. We've never ever said Premier League footballers aren't treated very well, aren't treated, to the highest level with their nutrition, with their diet, with their sleep, with how they're pampered, all of those things. But like, there's also a lot that goes on behind the scenes that maybe people don't see. Like, I mean, if you talk about professional players, the first thing is they're probably training 4 or 5 days a week, right? They might be doing recoveries. Like the Arsenal team that come home tonight at whatever time in the morning they get back from Italy to Heathrow will then have to be picked up and brought to their houses. They'll have to hit the bed at whatever time. They'll be due up in the morning. They'll be due into the training ground for breakfast probably, or lunch, and then they'll be due to do a recovery or a warm down session, maybe in the swimming pool or on the bikes or stretching and stuff like that. And then they'll go home and then they'll try and catch up on the sleep they missed out on. And then they'll get up Saturday and they'll go back in and they'll do more stuff there.
Tactical stuff and all, yeah.
Tactical stuff on Saturday. They'll do their set piece and stuff like that the day before a game. They'll head home. They'll have evening meals. They'll probably, depending on whether they're flying up on Saturday night or Sunday morning to City, there's another flight. We know flying's not good for the body, regardless of how long the trip is, whether it's 30 minutes or 2.5 hours. Like for those Arsenal players, they could be on 5 or 4 flights this week.
Yeah.
On top of, playing 2, 100-minute games now because of the extra time we have. All the stuff that goes along. We know they're so finely tuned and tweaked that it only takes the bare minimum to injure one of them. So like there's so much going on. I just think the numbers of games are getting out of hand, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think they were talking. I think when Rodri was talking the other day, now he mentioned 80 games, but I don't think he can hit 80 games. But that was obviously.
I think he can hit 80 if they were to go to the final of everything. I think the figure is 82 or 84.
Yeah, so like that's insane. And for a guy like Rodri, who literally nearly plays every game, when do you say if Rodri's fit, he don't get rested? Generally speaking, you know what I mean. So it's like there's certain elements in your team like that just don't, and like to play that amount of games is absolutely scandalous.
I was thinking about it.
Listen, we all played football every day of the week after school, and we weren't being paid for it. They'll be grand.
Yeah, but we weren't playing to the level that they were, Ted.
Look, these guys are talking about like the intensity of the Premier League and then Champions League and then, what I mean? And then Premier League.
Chatting to your mate, chatting to your mate for 20 minutes over by a corner flag and stuff like that. It's this, and we've seen the game is just getting quicker and quicker and quicker at times, Hey, Henry. So I find it very, very difficult. I was in my head thinking of some sort of number that, where do you settle? So my idea was, if you're like, in certain jobs, if you're a bus driver, if you're a pilot, if you're a train driver, if you're any of these kind of things, you have a limited amount of time behind the wheel. So you have to have a certain amount of days rest. So what happens is you can work a certain amount of days, but they will give you a schedule that you have ample rest period in that. So what I feel might happen is between the clubs and the countries, there's gonna have to be some sort of a player, like a certain time that will be put on each player. And let's say, I don't know, I'm just going to roughly do a very quick workout here. So if I said 90 minutes, right? And if I said times 52 games, one a week,
yeah,
you're at 4,680. Let's round it up. Let's say 5,000. No player in world football between their club and their country can play over 5,000 minutes in a season, in a calendar year. Job done. What does it do? It creates opportunity for younger players, because Guardiola might look at a game at home against Ipswich and say, well, I've got to keep Rodri out of this one so I can have him for Liverpool in 2 weeks. It means for national teams, you build a bigger pool of players, and you build you can start building for longevity with that team, where you're looking ahead to 2 or 4 years time, be it a World Cup or be it a Euros and stuff like that, and build that squad based on the fact that you're not going to get hammered for leaving a Rodri out, because it's the system that is leaving him out rather than the manager. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, look, it's a really difficult one to try and pinpoint. The international scene is gone. Look, it's bananas to think in another 4 weeks or whatever it is, or 5 weeks, we're going on another international break. And then 5 weeks after that, or 6 weeks after that again, we have another international break in November. You know what I mean? And it just starts all the momentum and stuff like that. I think I was saying to Mark on Monday as well, why don't we start the season in the end of September or something like that and play all the international matches? Or was you in August and September, and let's be done with it. You know what I mean? Because it's so frustrating. And especially if go on,
no, go on. Sorry, finish.
No, but I was saying, like, you got to remember with these international breaks as well. If you take the likes of the two boys there, they're going off on international breaks. Alisson is heading to Brazil most of the time. He's playing with a high-level team there as well most of the time. We know there's been a slight drop-off. You look at Rodri there, European champions. He's going off to play with a Spanish team. But you can get high-level players out there that are going off to play. Like, for instance, let's say Haaland going off to play with Norway, which is not kind of the same kind of ilk, if you like, and stuff like that as well. And a huge dependence on him and all that kind of stuff.
Huge.
So it's just, the whole thing has just evolved into a real stupid situation. And I think what needs to happen at those meetings, and of course, Becker made the point in his interview, Alisson did as well, that, like, well, FIFA have their agenda and UEFA have their agenda and the Premier League have their agenda. So how do we resolve this? And I think that's what Rodri was saying, is it going to get to a point where players eventually tell you, go fuck yourself, I'm not playing, and that's it. You know what I mean? And it's,
well, I think,
are we far away from that at this stage?
I don't think we're that far. I think with the amount of people that have come out and said it this week, I know Danny Carvajal has come out. I saw a number of quotes from different players. I think when players are coming out and talking about this, it's high on the agenda for the PFA and stuff like that. I think that's where it'll go. And I think you'll have agents talking to teams and stuff like that about it, about player welfare and everything. I think there's got to be something put in place for them. Just doing the bare maths off what I said there a minute ago. If you 5,000 minutes divided by 90 minutes is 55 and a half games a season. Now, okay, most games will have extra time, as in, but if you tag them on a 90-minute performance, that if they play and you cap it at 90, whatever 6 or 7 minutes is extra isn't counted into it. 55 games a season is loads for people.
Yeah, per calendar year would be the way to go. Similar to what Dosler's saying, but I think you need to go games over minutes, potentially. But it's the minutes that they're clocking up as well, you know. Because you know. But I just think that the thing about it that was a bit, you know, alarming this week is the fact that we're now getting the likes of a player the level of Alisson Becker and of Rodri and Carvajal and players like that talking about it. These are guys at the top end. You know what I mean? We're not hearing this from players, you know. These guys carry weight, their opinion carries weight as well. And maybe that they need a player, maybe they need a player agent kind of board in there as well that sits at that table with these other federations going, listen, lads, if you want to devalue your product and keep on devaluing your product and us picking up career-ending injuries and all this kind of stuff potentially and missing seasons and all that. Many players have we seen now, ACLs, MCLs, all this kind of stuff. There's a reason why this is happening. Go and look at the sports science. There's a reason these guys are being ran into the ground. They're being asked to play injured a lot of the time as well and stuff like that. It's crazy, and they're gonna have to fix it. But we'll leave it at that, and we'll monitor it anyway. They know our views on it anyway, and
they sure do.
We've been banging it on long enough now about player welfare and stuff like that. Do you want to have a quick look at the Champions League, or do you want to go into the bets?
I'm going into the bets.
We'll go into the bets then, yeah, because Champions League, it's too early to be even looking at Champions League,
I'm looking at 6 or 8 teams with 3 points each.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Us being one of them, thank God.
I don't... I can't say, even not being in it, I can't say I'm a huge fan of the format.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it was only the other day it dawned on me that we have a Champions League week and a Europa week, and that we have a Carabao Cup week and a Carabao Cup week. I had no idea. Idea that this is what was transpiring. It was crazy.
Yeah. So in theory, the way around getting Arsenal not to play in the competition was we'll make them play 1 week in Europe and the next week in the Carabao and double dip them. Because we've obviously played the other night and then we'll play next week in Europe, and you're like, Jesus, lads, this is mental.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Were you surprised with the Carabao Cup game, Darren, 7-0? And do you think Rashi and Garnacho with Hoyland back in training, is it on the up? It has to be.
Yeah, definitely do. Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of positives.
You're talking about 2 players there as well that are confidence players as well. Rashford's very much a confidence player. So when you get him scoring goals, that can flow over,
Yeah, I like them. I obviously follow him on Instagram, and he published a picture the other day, and I commented on it. Now, I generally wouldn't comment on too much that he puts up, but I commented on this for a particular reason. I'm just going to go and get it up for you. And it was a picture of the shops at Withenshaw, where he's from in Manchester. And it says Button Lane pickup point, and there's a kid in a red hoodie with a backpack. Now, it could be Marcus Rashford. It may not be Marcus Rashford. He's just looking back at, obviously, the way things began for him. And I wrote underneath it, and I said, why do I get the feeling all of a sudden he's starting to understand what it's about? I heard Rio Ferdinand was at Old Trafford, or was at Manchester 2 weeks before the international break, and training finished at 2:30 or whatever, and Rio rocked up at 10-3, and there was 2 players left out on the training pitch. The 2 players being Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford. And then you fast forward another week when all the boys are away on international duty. Rashford was given time off, but instead of going on holidays, he actually stayed in Manchester, and he was doing a lot of one-to-one training. I think it looked like it was probably Gig Lane he was in, which is the old Berry Stadium and stuff like that. Could have been Salford as well, but he was doing a lot of one-to-one coaching and stuff like that with somebody. And you're just going, okay, these are the things we've always wanted to see. This is how I want somebody playing for Man United. We've always heard the stories, Eric Cantona, last person off the training pitch in the evening time. Whereas I reckon for a time, our lads were looking at the watch going, it's over in 10 minutes, lads, we can leg it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure, the climate and the environment as well is conducive to that as well. If things are kind of shitty, you want to get out of town, you know what I mean? You don't necessarily want to be around it, you know what I mean? When things are kind of, if you can see things a little bit better, if you can also see that it's your responsibility as well, you have a part to play in making things better.
That for me is the bigger side of it. That for me is the bigger side of it. Because I mean, like, if things are shitty, if we all pick up a fucking extra shovel, it'll be a little less shitty around here in a while. But if things are shitty and we just keep taking the paycheck and going, nothing's going to get any better, And I just saw signs of life recently.
If you can't look to those 2 boys to make things better, then you've got a major problem, haven't you? It can't be Ahmad and Garnacho that drags you through. You know,
No,
that's the
like,
boys have to
and the
go.
thing for me is I've never had any problem with what Bruno does. You know, he's our captain. And I know some people don't feel like he's the right guy to be captain, but I don't see another captain at Manchester United other than Bruno Fernandes. For what he puts into the game, for his will to win, for his talent, for his ability, he's all round. He's our guy. But when I look at somebody I want to be picking up more shovels, it's Marcus Rashford. It's the guy from Manchester. It's the kid that grew up in the academy. It's the kid that
Sword.
grew up with a red devil on his chest. Like, that's
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. No, you're spot on. Spot on. Just on the wrestling show, folks, it'll kind of tangent between whenever Liverpool is playing in the Carabao Cup. I think next week it's Wednesday, so the wrestling show will probably be on Tuesday. We also have an interview with William Tyrrell that was pushed to next week. Couldn't happen this week because he was scouting for Norwich at the UCD under-19s. I think Champions League game it was. So there you go, the Junior Champions League or whatever it was. So there you go. So he couldn't make the show, so all good. Ted's in. If things are shitty and you're playing amazing, then yeah, maybe you can say we need to jet off at actual finish time. If you aren't playing well, you can't be having that attitude. Yeah, and I mean that's what's been going on. So nice to see that things are thinking and changing that way. Although you are a team, so it should be all staying to improve on things, not just one or two. Yeah, there's probably a case for that. But then if they all stay back, does it look the same? Or is it just everyone just training a bit longer? You know? I mean, there might be stuff that Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes need to talk about and work on that they don't need people around them. There could be hard conversations and hard words there in between those two, both ways. You know, that's not the kind of conversation
and there could be,
and there could be. You might not want them mad and Garnacho privy to it. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't imagine so. I don't think it's that. But what I would imagine is, we worked on A, B, and C today, but we didn't work on D and F. We can do that in 15, 20 minutes at the end, a couple of little one-touch finishing drills or whatever, and we can take free kicks, and we can do penalties, and we can do whatever to just make sure when something kicks off on a Saturday afternoon, we're ready to fucking go. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, go on, kick us off. Give us your bets for Beat the Bookie.
Well, I'm going to give you my hard luck story from last week first.
Oh, yes.
Because I did have a winner in Beat the Bookie last week, as you know.
Absolutely.
But I hadn't put the bet on myself.
We had that conversation.
We did. I have it here in front of me because this was the message I sent you. 40-1. It was 3 cards. Tim, Eric Boonham, Aston Villa versus Everton, going back to his old club. Got a yellow card pretty early in the game. Jack Stevens actually got sent off for Southampton against Man United, and our old fans' favourite. I think at this stage he is the most booked player in the Premier League, if I'm right, and that's Bournemouth's Marco Senesi. And obviously with Anthony Taylor in the form he was in last Saturday night, it wasn't going to be too difficult for Senesi to see a yellow card. And 40-1. If you were listening last week, you might have made yourself a few pounds.
And you know something, your excitement as the bet unfolded was really good. And that's why I asked you the question at the end. Tell me you put the bet on. Because you were genuinely excited about getting the bet up, but not having the bet on.
But you see, and I did explain this to you. Me getting a bet up isn't necessarily monetary.
Yeah.
And my good wife would adhere to that. It's not the money I like, it's being right.
Which is probably the better way to gamble.
Maybe.
Because if you're chasing the money, you'll be led up again.
Yeah, I'm never usually chasing it. It's usually just for the yes, I told you so. So with that in mind, I've got a couple of bets for you this week. Will we start off with our cards, since that was the winner last week?
Why not?
And I've reasoning behind all of these the same way I'd reasoning behind them all last week. First card is Lucas Paqueta. Paqueta loves the tackle. Absolutely loves the tackle. It's the early kickoff on the Saturday morning. It's a London derby, West Ham v Chelsea. This will be tasty. It'll be end to end. I think Paqueta picks one up. We go to Saturday evening. we go to 5:30 kickoff, Man United versus Crystal Palace. And I've actually gone one Manuel Ugarte. Because if you watch them in action on Tuesday night, I've no idea how he wasn't booked. And this was against Barnsley. So there's obviously a pace of play thing. Now, Selhurst Park can be quite intimidating. It can be quite ferocious at times, under the lights maybe and stuff like that. I think we could see Ugarte get a card. And then I'm going around out with a guy who I was really, really impressed with last weekend. He got a booking. He was possibly lucky to stay on the pitch, but I was very impressed with him. And that's one Jurrien Timber for Arsenal. I think he could have he had a really good game. And I think he could have a difficult...
Player, was he? Was he their best player?
Yeah, he was up there, all right, yeah. Yeah, he was certainly up there. And I think he'll have another busy game this weekend against Man City. So Timber, Ugarte and Paqueta. And boy, the magic of TV, that's 40-1.
Beautiful. There you go. So the omens are all good on this. 40-1 last week, 40-1 this week. People, don't come on here next week and say you haven't done it if it comes in.
If we get two back to back, like
he's giving you the reasonings. He's giving you why he's going with it. He's giving you the full gamut here.
Everything.
You're not just getting the picks.
Everything. No.
Great choice.
I'm gonna go on to score or assist. So it's to score or assist. Either one will do. So if you get if you get your points on fantasy, you'll have done all right. Cole Palmer.
I did this game. I did this bet this week as well for you to match up with you.
Yeah. So I've done Cole Palmer. 1 for 1. Yeah.
Yep.
I've actually gone with Amad Diallo. In the United game. No. He didn't start against Palace, which would tell me the likelihood is... Sorry, he didn't start against Barnsley, which would tell me the likelihood is he will start against Palace. It'll be one of Rashford or Garnacho to sit down to begin with. I've got a guy who over the last little while has made a name for scoring goals and coming off the bench and stuff like that. And I think he'll probably start this weekend because obviously with Villa playing in Champions League on Wednesday night, I think they might rest Ollie Watkins at the weekend. And I think if they do, I think they might rest him.
Do you think?
And
only have to get back into form and scoring after a slow start this season.
I think they might. They might. Yeah, and I think if they do, though, they're safe as houses because we saw his goal last weekend, which was the winner against Everton, and he scored a tidy goal during the week as well, but was chalked off because of a handball by Amadou Onana. One John Duran. And then I'm going to round it out, and you're not going to like this one, with the boy I spoke about earlier. He's done everything bar score at the minute. But some of his play has been very, very good, and that's Evan Nilsson at Bournemouth. So Cole Palmer, little bit. Yeah, it's only payback. You do it to me most weeks. Palmer, John Duran, Amad Diallo, and Evan Nilsson. Goal or assist, 30-1.
Do you know, out of respect for your 7-0 win, I didn't do it this week, and I should have. You're not getting off the hook anymore, actually. Do you want me to give it? Do you want me to give what's that worth, by the way?
30-1.
30-1. This one is only worth 17-1. So
you've gone real short. You've gone Haaland.
Palmer. No, I haven't gone Haaland.
So you've gone Palmer.
Yeah.
You've gone Salah.
Yeah.
And you've gone Watkins.
I gave you the Watkins one. I don't think you'll sit Watkins down for a derby either. So I'd be surprised.
And have you gone a Fort?
Yeah, I have a Fort, yeah. The Fort one is a bit out there. No, I haven't, because you won't pick the Fort. Because the Fort I've gone... Danny
Welbeck.
No. It's Man City versus Arsenal.
Right.
And I'm thinking of a tight game that might need to get unhinged, running from deep, playing very well, Ballon d'Or nominee. I'm thinking Rodri.
He scored a good few against Arsenal over the years, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. Yeah. And I think it's going to come. If you even look the way they played last night, you never felt at any stage it was going to come from the front line. Did you feel that last night watching it? It just didn't feel like they were going to be the ones to do it. Grealish was huffing and puffing. Foden should have done something. Bernardo Silva should have done something. Haaland really wasn't in the game as much as we expected. And I was thinking, this is going to have to come from a De Bruyne or a Rodri or someone like that. You know, one of those from deep arriving kind of things. You know? So whatever Rodri. Rodri's 3-1 as well for the score or assist, which brought it up obviously because it's a tight bet other than that, you know. But that's what I
had him. I had him in the World Cup or the European Cup final goal or assist, if you remember, and he got one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, it does happen. Has he sent you the second lot? Ted?
No, he hasn't sent it yet. No, he hasn't sent it yet. So, that's why I flashed it out.
Ipswich is Sammy Smodics, 100%.
Watkins.
Villa, no. That's not Ted.
He loves Watkins.
Yeah, but not at 84-1. Mateus Cunha. West Ham, Crystal Palace, Jackson Martinez. Or Nicholas Jackson, sorry. Nicholas Jackson.
Yeah.
And Palace United.
SA.
He goes... No. He goes Garnacho. Okay. So I'm going Smodics, Cunha, Jackson, Garnacho. Show me, Ted. Show me what you got.
Give us the answers, Ted. Come on, flash it in there for us. Smodics and Smodics and Jackson, correct.
That's Niall. That's impressive out of 4.
It's not bad. Rashford. I told you Watkins. He does Watkins nearly every week. He does.
And I mean, it was a toss of a coin between Rashford and Garnacho. So.
Absolutely. That's it. I got 2 if you want to guess the players, Noel. Liverpool score and assist and United goal and assist. 8-1 it is. 8-1. What are we looking at there then? We're looking at Trent. Are we looking at Trent?
No.
For United.
You're looking at Rashford, I'd imagine. And you're looking at
8-1. 8-1 for 2.
Jota and Rashford, yeah.
Jota and Rashford. Daz, who is it? Let us know who it is. Drop it in there. You went Jota and Rashford. I'm thinking Trent.
Yeah, I've got one more bet for you.
Yeah, Corey, far away. Is this our result about the score?
This is our result about the score. Yeah.
I did this. My one this week is 141-1.
Mine is 100.
Yeah. Big prices this week.
We're giving value. And like, if I'm looking at it here.
There you go. Amad Diallo and Diaz. That's good value.
Yeah.
That's real good value, 8-1. That's great value. Nothing wrong with that offer. Assist and score. Oh no, this is just score, is it? It was just score.
It's score or assist.
Score. Yes, that's great value. That's a great bet, lads. Get on that at 8-1. 100%.
So I've gone result about to score. Liverpool.
Yeah, I didn't do it.
Ipswich.
Nope.
Brighton.
Nope. God, we're going to be totally different, are we?
And Tottenham.
Then we're totally different this week. Totally different.
Well, that's what I've gone. And
that's
I've
unusual.
Got 100-1 on it.
Ted's in there. 80-1 results. Newcastle win. Chelsea, West Ham draw. Everton win. And Ipswich win. 80-1. Everton, Ted. Everton.
Are they just straight results?
They're straight.
They couldn't be straight. Are they? Yeah, leave that on the screen for a second. Are they straight results? Yeah.
Newcastle win. Chelsea, West Ham draw. Everton win and Ipswich win.
That sounds so. Draw in the West Ham game. Go back to me. Dazzler's correct on both.
There you go.
Newcastle win. Ipswich win, and who's the other one?
Newcastle win, Everton win, Ipswich win, and Chelsea West Ham draw. Everton will be a huge price to win, surely. That's what's driving it up, I would imagine, is it? Also with Ipswich.
Only 70 on Paddy Power, 70-1, but still tidy, Ted. Still very tidy for 70-1. I thought it sounded a bit pricey, but I know, or I'm pretty sure, Ted does his gambling on Sky Bet, if I'm right. Or bet
6-4. He's going
6-5.
6-4. He's going 6-4 Newcastle, 14-5 the draw, 17-10 Everton, and 11-5 Ipswich. That's a shocking price for Everton. That should be way more than that.
There's a couple of
Ted's saying 365. 365.
Yeah, I knew that's where he was. Yeah. Good. Have you got the prices there again?
6-4, 14-5,
6-4, 6-4, 7-5, and
no,
the draw
14-5.
is it's 7. No,
Oh,
6-4 here is 7-5.
Yeah,
and the draw 14-5 is 11-4. Ipswich are a shade under 2-1. They're 19-20, and they're 17-10. Yeah. So a couple of little
tweaks gives you that extra 10.
Yeah,
there we go. So I'll give you mine then. I went with Chelsea and both teams to score against West Ham. I went with Newcastle and both teams to score against Fulham. I went with Man City and both teams to score against Arsenal. And I went with Aston Villa and both teams to score against Wolves, which kind of feeds into what we spoke about in our predictions. It's not far off it.
Villa City,
Newcastle, and Chelsea.
140-1.
140, yeah, that's on Paddy Powers as well, yeah, because you've got 23-10, 3-1, 11-4, and 15-8.
Absolutely nothing wrong with those bets, is there? Absolutely nothing wrong.
And not crazy at all, like not crazy by any
I don't
stretch.
think so. I don't think so at all, to be honest with you.
I think we might have to do a few of these this weekend, will we?
We certainly will, Stanley.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, another good show. As always, a pleasure. No doubt we'll be talking before the weekend and during the weekend. If you could, folks, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, drop a like in the video. Folks, I can't stress enough how important it is to like the video. Liking the video is what pushes it out through the algorithm. So please, if you could all like it, the likes are way below what we're getting in terms of the views. So please do a little bit of housekeeping on the way out and make sure you're liking it if you haven't liked it already. So important to us.
Absolutely.
And I will be back tomorrow, probably with a recorded video, a Bournemouth preview. And then you'll get your Bournemouth reaction over the weekend. And then I'll be back on Monday with Mark, as always. And I'll put up the wrestling show. Daz, I'll check that out tomorrow, and you'll see it going up. If you hit the bell notification, you'll get an alert on when the wrestling show is going to happen. I did make the same mistake again this week as I did last week with the wrestling show.
You never talked about what was in the graphic?
Stop. I never spoke about the PWI 500, so I will cover it next week. I covered Vince this week, and I made the same mistake again. There you go. But until next time, folks, subscribe to the channel.
Is Vince Tuesday? Is it the 25th?
Wednesday, isn't it? 25th. Wednesday, is it? I think Wednesday.
Okay.
Is Wednesday the 25th? Tell you now.
I thought
Wednesday's the 25th. Wednesday the 25th. Yeah, so really looking forward to that. So there's no doubt we will be.
Do you know, are we getting the whole thing, or are they going to drip fade it?
I'd say they're probably going to drip fade it. I'd say they're going to drip fade it because they did over 230 hours of recording and they're releasing 6 hours. So Let's see how that goes. So
I'd imagine to be done.
I tell you what, they should have done if they were clever. They should have done season 1, 2, and 3 or something like that. Or you know what I mean? Because they've so much. Imagine the amount of footage they have. Incredible.
And I did hear some people talk about how they didn't reach out to me, and certain people were like, they missed a trick because I know more secrets than anybody. You might know who that comment came from, but yeah,
absolutely. Ted saying, yeah, absolutely, get on them. Daz, well, Ladbrokes Chelsea to win or 4-1 Parma to score anytime.
Lovely.
Tidy, plenty of good ones there. Right, folks, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the football, enjoy if you're depressed over the Champions League and your team hasn't done what you wanted to do, all that kind of stuff, if that's the case. We will be back next week with all the football shows and wrestling as we always do, and we'll talk to you again real soon.